All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. And of course, thanks for subscribing. Truly appreciate the support. We're back at it, catching up with the latest public release of the Tesla software. In this instance, it's 2025 26.4, which is the bug fix for the major release of 2025.26, which brings Grok into the cars, the dashcam update, site info at arrival, and the audio settings update. We'll jump into it real quick, but we'll do so on the move. So let me start first and foremost with the one option that we can't do on the move, which is the dashcam viewer. This instance says the dashcam viewer now lets you just playback speed for more flexible viewing. Let's check that out. Okay, so you can adjust the playback speed here, 1x versus 2x versus 0.5x slow motion, which is great. As well as some other options to be able to toggle forward and back. That's always been there, but this playback speed is the real key thing, and the ability to expand the viewport from full to regular aspect ratio, which is again a little bit of a bummer for us. We thought that coming into it that changing this meant that it would make the dashcam player full screen and not just the aspect ratio go to fill up the frame here. This is again Tesla's problem right now, where it caters everything in the UI to the single screen experience. That's what I want to call it, right? Where you have that 1/3 cutout for the static information for those who have single screens. When you have two screens, we can maximize this. I want to make this full screen. I want to be able to drag this full screen and then really get to experience what dashcam is like by being able to toggle this standard aspect ratio or fill the screen of the entire screen. So a little bit of a disappointment here with that one. Okay, jumping back over here, and I'm going to take off too because I'm a little late for an appointment. We're going to head out. We've still got the latest FSD version 13.2.9 hardware 4. We're going to take it out and see what it does. Good job creeping out of there. This is the remnants of our regression test path. It's been heavily altered, but also no longer relevant for the cases of FSD. It's sort of outgrown it, but this would be our first turn. Does a great job here. Getting up to speed, great job. All right, so the next thing we have is Grok, which is great. Adding Grok into the capabilities here to being able to ask Grok questions, being able to pull it up. Hi, Grok.
Hi there. How can I help you today?
And it's like a virtual assistant. It's a virtual assistant that allows you to be able to speak to it, ask questions, uses AI capabilities to do research, plan things out. If you have a Grok account, you can log in. But by default, all Tesla owners who don't have Grok accounts or who just have the default car are going to be logged out, signed out. Okay, so it's a very cool feature, very helpful in its current form, just because you can ask it anything and it can find that information over Wi-Fi. I'm assuming that it's web-based, meaning that the information that you're asking for connects to the web and the data is stored on the web from a data perspective. And if you have an account, it's stored to your account. It's not something that's localized to the car, like your in-car navigation or your in-car voice guidance, as well as your FSD data localized to the car in terms of the models that they're running on the back end, specifically FSD localized to the car, not available for everyone to have access to. So there is that issue, which I'm not sure the details of it just yet. I haven't read too much into it, but it just looks like it's a good first step in the right direction. Would love for it to be integrated into the button so you can press it. But for now, you have to open up the app to be able to do it. You can't even use voice commands. Open Grok. See, command not understood. Grok. Command understood. So you can't use voice commands. You can't use the two systems you can't use the two systems in combination with one another. And Grok has no interactivity with the car, so it can't update the navigation with suggestions of what you want to do, or can't open applications on the screen just yet. So good step in the right direction. Very helpful and useful in its current form. There's a therapist mode on there, so if you have long drives and you want some therapy, you can get it that way. And it has some also the unhinged mode, which is the more vulgar mode, more adult mode. I'm not really into that, but for the regular standard Grok, I think it's pretty good. And I think if you log in, you can also change the voice. Right now, it's just a female aura that's there. Okay. I haven't tested different languages to see how it receives different languages or different accents, but for regular English, it seems pretty good. The next one is site info at arrival. And this is interesting. This is to improve site arrival experience, new icons. And the charger icon does not indicate locations that require valet service to pay to park, all that good stuff. So that's great. You go here, you pull up the chargers, and let's just say I check on this one. I get details about what's going on, whether it's pay to park, so on and so forth. If I go back to the list, I also get the details there, the distance, so on and so forth. Good maneuver here to get around this truck. Good turn signal both ways, crossing the double yellow and going back, which is great. So FSD is still pretty solid, very solid in hardware 4. Also very solid in hardware 3. Same known issues, nothing's changed. No back-end updates to make anything different. Still no turn on red issues, both hardware 4 and hardware 3. So that's version 12 and version 13. Everything else is pretty much the same. I can't turn left up here. Let's see what it does. Actually, I can turn left. Just some construction in the way. Please go around this big hole. The very edge of it is going to hit, but it's... So he waved them on. He went. Good job. Police officer waving people on. Got the very edge of that little hole. Not necessarily the greatest. Would love it to avoid it completely, but it's not terrible. And it went really slow, too, so that was great. Great precaution going through that. All right. So site info at arrival, which is cool. How many stalls are available, which stalls are active versus inactive, and any other amenities that need to happen in terms of that. And then the last one is the audio settings update. This is to be able to actually do two things. One, integrate the audio features, the audio adjustments into the main menu. And again, this is more of a single screen experience feature more than anything else, because it adapts it to that 1/3 of the screen versus having its own modal within the media app. Now, I'll pull that up so you guys can see. I'll go here. I'll go here. Where is it? It's on the mini player. It's over here. If I can reach it. Bumpy roads here. Whoa. And right there. So now what we have here is a scenario where the presets and settings are all in the main menu here. Now under audio. I guess I should have got to it that way. Let's do that again. All right, so let's check it out now. So you go here, menu. You go down to audio, which is the do tab, and now the settings are here versus embedded in the player like they were before. Even if you use the same settings menu that's still on the player, it'll bring you to this screen now. And now it's got the different settings there, and now you can create custom presets for different types of music that you listen to, where you want to have the immersive sound off versus off, and then different adjustments for bass. So that's really great for Tesla to have. Same for balance. Well, same for tone. Tone only doesn't apply to balance. So right now it's the default balance where it's center or wherever you put it. And then if you use the rear speakers, it will default to the rear if that's where you have it. But in terms of tone and all the EQ here, you're going to do that right in here and be able to select different options. If you want a classical music, theatrical, hip hop, jazz, whatever it is, you can create your own different presets there and then just toggle the preset as opposed to changing and adjusting. So that's really huge, because that's what I've been doing for years, is just changing. Hey, let me take the bass down or turn the bass up or turn immersive sound on and off based on what I'm listening to. Good job getting out there for that car. All right, so that's that. That's pretty much it. Let me see something for a second. I think they changed. Okay, no, they didn't. That's pretty much it for that particular update. Good job anticipating and getting around here. Awesome. Look at that. Double park car or whatever he's doing. But otherwise, I didn't really notice anything different. If you notice something else in the comments, let me know about what you noticed, what's different, what's changed, what's updated. But this is pretty much all it is. Decent update. I'm expecting an imminent FSD update any moment now. I think they were trying, from what I heard, they were supposed to try to get one out before the end of July. That didn't happen. I think the reason is that they're going all hands on deck with Robotaxi right now. And they're basically focusing all the people on that, and not so much on supervised FSD right now, because again, their goal is to use robotaxi to be the first unsupervised FSD out there. So if they can get to unsupervised there, use the data to validate and gain regulatory approval, then they can release it to other cars. That's the goal. And they can iterate a lot faster with just that fleet, because they have a small geo-fenced area. They're putting it in different cities. They're putting it in the Bay, so on and so forth. And they're using that data there to collect data and again, to accelerate that development process versus relying on cars, customer cars, to be able to go ahead and gather that data for them, or individual employees to go out there and gather that data for them. So again, I think that's the plan. Unsupervised, robotaxi first, followed by customer cars. And in the meantime, we should be getting incremental supervised updates with relaxed monitoring in the process, just to make it, again, more usable and try to increase that take rate, so you can do more while you're supervising the car. All right, so for those of you who are just tuning in for the update for the software, I'm pretty much done. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it. For those who want to continue the drive for FSD, please stick around. Oh, and I've mentioned referral code for those that don't have one. Definitely use it if you're getting a Tesla before the end of September, before all the incentives go away. It's a great time to buy. Definitely consider using our referral code. Since the incentives are going away, and I suspect demand will lapse if they don't change the prices, we will do an end of September, end of quarter giveaway for those that use our referral code. We have a couple of prizes in store. We're not going to spin the wheel like we usually do. We usually spin the wheel and choose from a variety of different gifts, but we have a couple of specific gifts. One is a mobile charger, not a mobile charger, a wall connector for your home, for your garage, so you don't need to worry about buying that if you're getting a new Tesla. And the other are all-weather mats. We have two sets of those, so we'll be raffling those off to a lucky owner who has used our referral code. I will do that at the end of the quarter, end of September, and go from there. We'll spin the wheel on the names, but the prizes are consistent. For those watching the video also, and maybe looking and say, oh, well, why don't you show the navigation on the screen? I don't need to show the navigation on the screen. The navigation is right here. This allows me to be able to show you guys how close the car is to certain things, how straight it is in the lane, what's behind it, things like that, which I think, at least from what you guys are saying, is more valuable than just showing you the route that I'm going on the screen. Again, you can always still see that up here, what direction it's going to take, but that's the reason why. Really, really hard to find major issues with version 13 here, or hardware 4. Still some funky issues with hardware 3 and version 12. Meaning that it's noticeable difference. I know some people are saying, oh, I had hardware 3 and then I rode hardware 4 and it wasn't that big of a difference. It is a big difference if you ride them longer distances and more frequently. You will see the difference. It is a noticeable difference in the level of comfort, the level of smoothness. The additional parameters that they've added to hardware 4 is just noticeable. We did a long trip as part of our vacation on hardware 3. And it did a pretty good job all the way through. But at some point, you started to see some of the issues, wrong turn, ignoring navigation. Hardware 4 does that too, but just not as frequently as hardware 3. Some uncomfortable maneuvers at times. It just wasn't as polished as hardware 4. Because I did, not everybody else, but me, I did a longer trip right after that in this car. And it was just super smooth. It was a night and day difference. And I suspect those testing out the robotaxi and the new Model Ys would also see that difference if they compare the robo-taxi experience to Hardware 3's version 12. But again, still very usable. If you have a Hardware 3 car, I know they didn't mention anything on the earnings call about Hardware 3. They're focused on Hardware 4 and Hardware 5 and even mentions of Hardware 6. But I think they're not going to abandon Hardware 3 fully. And if they do, they definitely have to have a path to upgrade everybody to Hardware 4. So until they make the decision to upgrade everybody to Hardware 4, I think they're still going to be doing work on Hardware 3. But it's like, again, the value add here is just having your own personal robo-taxi, your own personal chauffeur to drive you where you want to be, where you want to go. Don't make any other stops. Hurry up and get there. And then where you get the value add for the high take rate is being able to do other things on the screen, on your computer, on your phone, whatever it is. If you could be productive like that, that's the true value. Got about 6 minutes. Jeez, I'm super late. My bad, guys. I'm gonna be in trouble. Got a little bit of a service appointment here with Tesla. This is a 2024 Plaid. A little bit of a noise we need to get addressed and adjusted. And that's one other thing too. And I'll mention this when I mentioned this in our Model Y video. It needed to go, but it didn't. It flashed us. We'll go. I'm going to get some accelerator here just because they don't understand flashing. Over time, the seals and everything in these cars start to wear down. And so a super quiet new car, like every car, a super quiet new car, as it ages, is not as quiet as when you first got it. So a lot of people who compare the quietness of even our last Model S Plaid, which is 2021, you compare that to like a new Model Y or a new Model 3, you're gonna say, oh my gosh, it's even more quieter than the Plaid. What's more quieter than a 3-year-old car? Yes, because it's 3 years old. But if you get them both new, are they the same level of quiet? Is one quieter than the other? That's the real basis of comparison, not comparing old cars to new cars. Even when you compare Model Ys, like Model Y was good, had some good sound installation. It got significantly better, but how much better is going to depend on what you're comparing it to. Are you comparing a low mileage old Model Y to the newest Model Y? Or are you comparing a high mileage, highly used, older, seals worn down Model Y and comparing it to the newest Model Y? That's a world of difference. So it makes sense to contextualize those types of things when you have those conversations. This to me is super quiet. You just hear a little bit of the road noise, no wind noise, no whistling, nothing like that. But you hear the road noise. And I feel like whatever allows you to hear the road noise in any car is probably the same thing that would allow you to hear a siren in the background. Like you don't want it to be so quiet that you can't hear what's going on around you, to the detriment of you, where you can't hear a siren coming through or a police officer or whatever, or you can't hear other cars beeping their horns at you or whatever the case may be. You want to hear something, but it doesn't have to be super loud and super annoying. Path is going to take, it's going to take the tricky route. Okay, so this is going to take the tricky route. It should have taken the route back there where it kind of got off, or even right here. It should take this route right here where it could just get off, go to the light, and make a right. Instead, what it's going to do is try to cross over with two merges and try to make a sharp right turn just after one of the merges. Let's see how it does this. So it's going to come up, go up here. Now, it should be getting off on this exit and turning at that light and going up. Instead, there's going to be a merge up here. It's going to jump across this merge, jump into the parking lot of this Home Depot, and use the parking lot to get to that destination, which is interesting because typically it goes this way. Hardware 3 takes me this way. Hardware 4 is going this way, which is technically the faster way because you bypass the light. Maybe because I'm on hurry mode right now, I don't know. But it's a more risky move because you have to get over right after this merge. So they have a yield. They're supposed to yield, but they're not quite yielding. And now I got to make a really hard, sharp here turn. It did it so smoothly. Look at that. That's the difference. Hardware 4 right there. Look at that. Look how smooth that was. A lot of people not mess that up, but make it uncomfortable to make that maneuver. That was superb. Great job. Great job. Parking lot, 15 mile an hour limit it's showing, which is great. Adhering to it as well, going 12 mile an hour. Nice and slow. Home Depot. I'm not gonna press anything, let it go. I'm always nervous about Home Depot parking lots because I just think builders just drop nails, and this is where you get a lot of nails. So I try to avoid these parking lots at all costs. I don't know why I think that. Maybe it's just me, but I just feel like if you're gonna drop a bunch of nails, the hardware store is where you would be dropping nails. Now this person's supposed to stop and they're not even looking. Just going right through. Full stop. Speed bump. Another full stop. Interesting that the limit line is after the crosswalk as opposed to before. All right, almost there. Good slow down for that. Sees the person there, construction zone here. One more stop now. Is it gonna bring me to the front? Looks like it's gonna bring me to the front. I think it knows I have a service appointment. Maybe it's going right to the entrance of the garage. All right, we're basically here. This is the newest Tesla service center and soon to be sales center here in the Northeast. And it used to be a what's it called? Bed Bath and Beyond and Bye Bye Baby. Now it's a Tesla service center. So that's cool. All right, guys, let me know what your thoughts in the comments. And until the next time, enjoy your day. Enjoy your Tesla.